Dear Mr. Trump, Leap Day 2020. By Anna von Reitz. For your information, we brought forward all land patents in the U.S. in 2014, and in 2015, we made the public acceptance and reissued our sovereign letters patent. Anyone who tells you differently or who thinks they have any right to our land and soil as a result of debts run up by foreign corporations acting without our knowledge or consent should be sent to me directly for rebuttal. Also, for your information, the Municipal State of State holdings have been rolled back into the Territorial State of State. The Territorial State of State holdings have then been rolled over into the federal state trusts. The federal state trusts have been rolled over into the states of the Union, and the states have then accepted the Unanimous Declaration of Independence as a union of states doing business as the United States Unincorporated, and the United States has reassigned the international powers to the United States of America Unincorporated. The world has been given notice and due process and allowed plenty of time to bring forward any objection, and neither the Queen nor the Pope has offered any excuse or reason why we are not fully in standing and without our rights to take all of these actions in our own behalf as the lawful sovereigns of our own country and states. In tandem with these actions, we have called the States of the Union to assemble and qualified the electors and constituents known as the people, and we have continued to organize the properly declared and constituted States of the Union in preparation for completion of the long overdue Reconstruction. We have by far the majority of states assembled at this point, and the rest are in process. We are able to conduct business by and through the state assemblies and as a federation of states, and are able to exercise the powers and prerogatives of our government of, for, and by the people, for the purposes of reconstruction and enforcement of the constitutions. All of this has been done in support of, as you put it, making America great again, as well as making America American again. In these actions we are working in tandem with you and your administration and are seeking both understanding and cooperation to most expeditiously enact necessary changes needed to promote the well-being of Americans and billions of other people around the world. Our movement has been labeled a nationalist political stunt, but in fact, and in law, we are the actual government of this country, and we always have been. Our inaction has allowed our federal subcontractors to run wild and to take advantage of the sovereignty and abuse of their employers, a situation which has now been corrected. All presumptions, legal and otherwise, that have been predicated on our supposed absence, such as the World Bank's idea that our government is held in abeyance, must be corrected. Our government has always been present, simply not called upon. We have chosen at this time to summon ourselves to our duty to self-govern, and that should not be a surprise or any point of contention. As a necessary part of the Reconstruction, our banking and monetary affairs must be set in order. The Territorial Congress, acting in 1913 under conditions of non-disclosure and deceit and also without a complete understanding of the actual financial affairs, contracted with the Federal Reserve Banks to have them act as a central bank for the territorial government. The Federal Reserve Banks had been operating as a banking association since 1850 and were all capitalized using American gold. In 1913, the territorial United States government was out of money and in recovery from the 1907 bankruptcy of the Scottish interloper doing business as the United States of America, Inc. What appears to have happened then was a deal with the devil, in which the territorial United States citizenry were offered as slave collateral on a per-head basis, like cattle, as new assets backing the extension of credit by the Federal Reserve Banks. By 1925, private bill collectors operating as the Internal Revenue Service were imported to our shores, to collect upon this enslavement system. The Internal Revenue Service was never properly disciplined or held to account for its activities in behalf of the territorial United States government, and they flagrantly misaddressed and attacked average Americans who never associated with any federal employment and who were never subject to any obligation related to this deal. Ditto, FDR's subsequent New Deal, which similarly mistreated municipal citizens. These abuses by the Internal Revenue Service have continued to this present day, and if anything, have expanded and gotten worse, while the territorial United States Congress continues to claim that their deal with the devil enslaving U.S. citizens as chattel is a national security issue. Indeed, in a way, we suppose it is, as, if the public were fully and fairly informed, there would be a revolution, as Henry Ford said. Consider this being fully informed. While the territorial government was making these outrageous contracts for itself, the municipal United States government was not far behind, only even more draconian in its approach to enslavement. They incorporated the United States of America, Inc., at the same time that the Internal Revenue Service began operations and ran both in tandem on our soil, having accepted the territorial government's claim that all municipal citizens of the United States were criminals and therefore, slaves. None of this has anything to do with America or the American people, nor does it have anything to do with our assets. We are third parties to all this nonsense and double-dealing and misuse and abuse by our employees. Our assets are not subject to any of these provisions and agreements, and nobody who isn't currently a federal employee should ever be addressed concerning these arrangements then or now. We take pity on the deplorable abuses our employees have suffered at the hands of our trustees, and we hereby request and require the U.S. military and you, the elected Commander-in-Chief, to issue the appropriate executive orders to nationalize the banks and complete the recoupment of our gold and silver and platinum and other assets for our use and for the actual payment for governmental services. Both Britain and Russia have withdrawn from the central banking arrangement, and it is ironic that we, the ones that started this entire movement, are lagging behind. If the Rothschilds want to talk, we are ready and willing and have our records and ducks in order to do so, but we believe that the balance of payments, and particularly, the balance of credit payments due and owing our citizenry, are substantially on their side of the ledger, not ours. An amenable solution should be possible, particularly as they never had any real skin in the game to start with. These are matters that you, as a president acting in succession to Abraham Lincoln, are not privy to, even though you should be. This circumstance, that you and your immediate predecessors, were left ignorant of the actual financial situation and even the structure of the actual government, was the direct result of Lincoln's assassination. The conditions were continued as a result of Kennedy's assassination, but now, the information has been too widely dispersed for the continuance of this charade which pretends that the priority creditors are instead the debtors. Please prepare your troops for action, and instruct the local police forces, to not only protect the U.S. citizens, but also to protect the interests of your actual employers, the American people. Carry forward with nationalizing the banks and stand ready for recapitalization based upon our actual assets held off ledger by these same international banks. The days of hunting and pecking are over. The days of securitizing living flesh are over. The reign of terror by the Internal Revenue Service, IRS, is over. The national security issues related to banking are no longer of any concern. Get your IMF and Federal Reserve representatives ready to meet with us directly and soon, and please implement the appropriate executive orders. The U.S. may be broke, but America is not. If you enjoy having Anna's latest articles made into videos, please consider making a purchase from Ed's website wellnessrods.com. Thank you.